Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I am Alex.
I am Justin.
I am Pete.
And this is a thing that we do.
Oh, so we should say Alex is, I think he's dying. So he's been replaced. We've replaced him. He's just part robot. Okay, fine.
I am a comics reviewing robot.
Oh, man.
boy.
He's been in this game too long. He's losing it.
Yeah.
Writing good, art bad.
Alex, you skewered another comic.
Oh, man,
anyway.
I got the most so bad. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of books that come out this very Wednesday and one book that comes out on July 25th. So why don't we jump into it?
Oh, that's a great idea. Let's jump right in. Like
Thank
a
you.
crisp, cool pool.
Ooh, boy, I love jumping in a pool. And I love jumping into The Life of Captain Marvel, #1 from Marvel Comics.
Yes.
Now, this is kind of a continuation of Margaret Stoll's run on the title, but it is its own prestige format miniseries. What?
No, that's a cool way of saying prestige.
Oh, yeah.
You mean like the prestige? The third part of the trick?
Yeah.
That's what you mean?
Great movie. Best Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh, man. I think I'm
watch
dying.
your mouth. Watch your mouth.
What?
No.
On this, the most hallowed of Dark Knight anniversaries, me saying The Prestige is the best movie? It is, though.
I
so
agree.
there you go.
I like the prestige, too.
I like The Prestige, but saying it's the best Nolan movie, it's a little, I don't know.
Accurate. All right,
Sacrilege.
Life of Captain Marvel, #1. I love this book. I'll just put that out there. I thought it was very powerful, very emotional, not what I expected at all. What did you guys think about it?
I agree. It feels very different than other books on the stands. You know, it's dealing with superheroes as people in a real way that I thought was nice. I feel like the art really captured a particular look that it felt like they were going for. And these characters felt, Tony Stark especially, obviously Carol was great, but Tony Stark felt very fresh, a character that is often sort of playing by numbers.
I had this was tough. It was a tough read. I don't like domestic violence or any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah, I don't. I'm against
Really?
it.
Wow, controversial take.
Yeah.
Another hot take from
I'm
you,
really
Paige.
against it. So then, seeing somebody deal with that by beating other people, that was tough. It's tough. So I didn't enjoy that part. I didn't enjoy a lot of it. But, it made what was going on really hard because I was like, you need to talk to somebody. You can't just...
The anxiety.
Yeah.
I thought that was
That's
nice.
what this is about. So just to give you a little bit of a setup of the book, Captain Marvel is dealing with some PTSD in the middle of a big supervillain fight and decides to head home. When she gets there, things get progressively worse, and she deals with them in a very realistic manner. There's not a lot of superheroics in this first issue, but by the end of the first issue, we're getting into some more bigger universal cosmic type stuff.
Sums up.
Yeah, something's
in space.
up. But as long as it remains this grounded emotionally, I think we're in for a really interesting, really fascinating ride on this comic book.
Exactly. Prestige.
Well, hopefully we can get away from some of this stuff and focus a little bit more on her personal growth.
What?
Yeah,
Wait, what do you mean?
You don't want to see domestic violence depicted in the comic, so now maybe they've moved past it. You're saying you don't have to see it again.
Right,
because it
but
makes you
also,
uncomfortable.
If she doesn't deal with it and then gets in another big fight, then it could be an issue. And I want her to get the help she needs.
That's what you call drama. You care for her.
I'm going to throw it out there. I think she is going to deal with it through the metaphor of superheroics.
Let's hope so.
I think. I don't know. I'm just going to put that out there.
Superheroics aren't a metaphor, dude. It's real.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a simile,
metaphor
maybe.
for punching people with your
dude.
ray fists.
Yep.
Let's move on and talk about Batman #51 from DC Comics. This is picking up on the big Not a Wedding issue.
Oh, man.
Batman is all alone, and he gets sucked into some jury duty in Gotham City on the trial of Mr. Freeze.
He doesn't get sucked. I think it was all part of his master plan.
What is the master plan?
Whose master plan is to do jury duty?
I think he just wants to
Mine often, unfortunately.
I think he just wants to, make sure this guy goes down for the right reasons.
A little backstory on the story. Batman, Mr. Freeze is potentially committing a crime. Batman stops him in a pretty violent way. He's angry.
Yep.
And then Bruce Wayne gets put on the jury, and he has to weigh in on the case that he was deeply involved in.
Again, I'm going to throw out there that often superhero comics seem to be using some sort of metaphor. This is my programming is getting up to speed, and I'm starting to catch on to this.
You are smoke. There's not smoke coming out of your processor right now.
Yeah, it's heated up. It's definitely clocking clocking a bunch of stuff. Batman is cold. He's left cold by the absence of Catwoman, by being left at the altar. So he's dealing with Mr. Freeze, but he's also trying to figure out what's right. So he goes out, he beats up Mr. Freeze, and by the end of the issue, he realizes that maybe he was wrong about things. Maybe even Batman could be incorrect, which again, level of metaphor. I appreciate how much thought Tom King puts in every single issue of this comic book. It's
100%.
so impressive.
So good. And I do think, you're right about your metaphor programming. It has been updated correctly. And I think it's another great issue from Tom King.
Plus,
it's 12 Angry Batmen.
Yeah. What's great is
How long have you been planning that?
Just a minute. I tuned you out and thought of that.
Nice.
But how often it's happened to all of us, right? We're in jury duty, we get so angry, we run to the bathroom and throw a urinal against the wall. It just happens to everybody.
What jury duty were you on?
I can't talk about it.
What about you?
Me? I was not assistant juror or deputy juror or something.
The main
like
one.
No. I was
backup. You were an alternate. You were an alternate.
That's the word I was looking for. I was an alternate juror, so I got to do none of the fun stuff on being on a jury. I got to sit there and watch a trial. But it was kind of cool afterwards. The lawyers came out and just sort of chatted with us about everything that went on the case and explained how the deliberations went the way they did. So it was fun.
I was in voir dire on a botched adult male circumcision case, and they did not choose me. Because I had such a successful adult male circumcision.
Because you do have that beautiful penis.
Thank you. I'm always bragging about my successful circumcision.
No, but seriously, why didn't they choose you?
I don't know. I mean, they don't say like, "Hey, man, sorry, but you would be weird about this."
Because that's what I would say to you.
They said, "Are you guys all going to be comfortable with looking at photographs of genitalia?" And every hand went up, being like, "Not my thing."
Oh, really?
But that wasn't why. I actually was like, "I'm fine with it."
Hey,
bring it on.
Bring it.
I love
More
pics.
botched, the better.
Oh man.
Next up from Image Comics, Mage The Hero Denied at number 10. I've been really enjoying this series a lot, and full disclosure, this is the first Mage series I've ever read. I know it's in the history of comics, fantastic comic book. I never picked it up before this title, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, Matt Wagner's been doing this for a very long time, and you feel that in the writing and in the story. It feels like sort of like those older comics that exist outside of the superhero world, like Concrete, Bone to some degree,
Nice,
where
dude.
you feel
Deep cuts.
the creator there, and it feels like this series is really lived in and fun, unique, a little bit autobiographical, perhaps.
So the idea of the book is there's this guy, the mage of the title, who is supposed to be the prophesied mage who saves the world.
He's the Pendragon.
Yeah, he's the Pendragon. And his family has gotten split up. 2 of them have been captured by some fairies. He's wandering around with his daughter trying to save them, and then they get into some mix-em-ups.
It's
in
so
this
fun
issue.
hijinks,
It's
fun
so
father-daughter
creative,
stuff.
though. Magic books often fall into the same thing, but there's something very down to earth about the tone of this that balances out the over the top magic, which I think is a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's really sweet moments in here, which I really like with the daughter. And I kind of believe that all cats were like evil fairies that got turned into cats. It's just me, though.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely a true thing to believe.
Here's a title that's not coming out until July 25th from Valiant Comics. It's Brittania.
Yeah.
Is that a great day? What's so great about that day?
It's my birthday.
Oh,
Holy
I knew
shit.
that. I tricked you so bad.
I knew it. That's why I was getting ready to
Neither
make
one
some
of you
plans.
assholes. Neither one of you.
know that.
Oh, man, the party that we're throwing you is not real.
Well, I got you a comic book review for your Brittania, Lost Eagles of Rome, number 1. I've loved the past 2 miniseries they've done. I don't know if you guys have checked them out, but they're all about a detectioner, which is the world's first detective in ancient Rome.
I bet Batman is the world's first detective.
Yeah.
He's the world's second detective.
Oh, cool.
No,
Man, a
he's-
lot of cases went unsolved for so long.
For a really long time. Nobody understands what a detectioner is. Nobody understands what investigating a mystery is. They all believe in mysticism. And in the previous 2 series, he ends up in these mysteries that do have a tone of almost Lovecraftian horror to them, but they slowly build as they go. Now, this series has a different artist. It was, I'm going to blank on his name, Juan Jose Rip, who did the art on the first 2 series, which is phenomenal. There's nothing wrong with the art on this comic book, but it takes me out of a little bit. It's a bummer because Juan Jose Rip is so good and such a great artist and so iconic with the series to me. I feel like you, Pete, a little bit. Seeing him change takes me out of the...
So you'd say good writing, bad art.
Not bad. Good writing, bad art. No, the art is good. It's very serviceable.
It's sort of like you're used to a style.
Exactly.
When it comes
Exactly.
To
It's sort of like the Prince Valiant comic strip, this new artist. The famous comic strip.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were referring to whatever is going on in the Prince Valiant strip. They changed artists recently, and you were really upset about it.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm crazy about Valiant. You guys read comics in the newspaper? It's like comics. They're like comics in there.
Yeah, what's going on at Family Circus?
Still crazy, man. Jeffy, still shitting dots out of his backside as he runs across the world.
Weird. Yeah, I have a hard time with some of the old-timey shit. And it's not enjoyable for me to read or participate in. So it's really hard.
I don't think you're invited to be to ancient Rome.
No, I know, but
do you reenact all of the comics that you read every week?
Yes, every week.
Oh wow, that's so fun.
It explains a lot. But yeah, I couldn't give a shit. So maybe it's cool. I tried reading it like 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, this blows. So.
I liked it a lot. I do think I didn't read the first 2 series, so I didn't have the expectations on the art. So I thought the art was good. I thought the story was good. I like how he's like, I'm a detective. They're like, what does that mean? He's like, I pay attention. He's like, pay attention. Why would anyone do that?
Yeah.
And
it's on that basic level, like on the story level, it is very smartly written and very well done. And I'm really looking forward to where it goes.
Peter Milligan,
just because, Peter Milligan. Just because, as I said, both of the previous 2 series built very slowly, but got to this crazy horror place. You don't really get to see that in this issue, so I'm curious to see where it goes. But again, I wish they had kept the team together. I feel like it would have been worth it in this case, personally. Next up from Image Comics, Ice Cream Man, number 5. One of the weirdest series on the stands today.
Just when you think it can't get any weirder, the next issue comes out and it does.
This series is so good. It's so horrifying in a way. I've been really getting into horror stories lately. I don't know why, but like the new Hulk book that we talked about the first issue, I think. The second issue that came out last week maybe or 2 weeks ago was so good. This series is horrifying.
Sorry, I thought you were going to be at my review of Ice Cream Man number 5 is Hulk is good.
Yeah, well, that's called cross-pollination.
Anyways, yeah, this book is amazing in all the most creepiest ways, and I don't know how they're all connected other than it's like the most scary shit you can imagine.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Connects us all. So these are standalone horror stories. This one is set in a big office building where everyone's losing it.
Losing their mind, and then some guy's like, you know what? Fuck, I'm not going to deal with what's inside. I'm just going to jump off the roof on the outside, which is smart.
Yeah, I honestly thought this entire issue was just going to be the guy falling from the roof, and I would have been super into that. I still love the book, but there was something so audacious about half the running time being taken by a guy who's just slowly falling down a building.
Yeah. I thought the other character in this is a woman who's escaping through the building, seeing all these horrors. I thought for sure she was going to walk out the front door, and then the dude was going to hit her.
No way she could get down there
but that's not what happened. Well,
you don't know where. Let me ask you guys a question here. So, up until this point, there's been a rough theme of this ice cream man who shows up every issue, gives people ice cream, and insane, horrible things happen to them. Right? I don't even think he shows up this issue. At all.
This is about another dude who's going after Ice Cream Man.
Oh, is it?
I think so. That we see a character at the end who is up to something, and he's like, "I got to get him." He seems like he's chasing someone, which is
and
probably
everybody is talking about. He told me it would taste so sweet when they're eating their own guts, and then there's rats eating their guts. So there's definitely something going on there. Do you think there's an overarching story for the series at this point?
I do think something's going to come up. Here's my totally random thought on what it is. I think the dude who's trying to get the Ice Cream Man is like some demon or some hell person, and the Ice Cream Man escaped from hell and is running loose, making people feel their whole personal horror, this other guy's going to drag him back to hell.
Interesting.
That's totally, I just thought that.
I thought it was just a version.
Just now?
It's sort of like 12 Angry
Wait,
Batman. It's sort of like 12 Angry
Did you
Batman.
tune me out again?
Yes. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever listened to you.
Oh, man. I've been telling you such amazing things for years.
I think it was just one. It is in hell. It takes place in hell. And in this hell, like anyone who wants ice cream goes through this awful like thing that they keep reliving.
We're all in the gutter, and some of us are looking at the ice cream.
Whoa, man. That's pretty cool.
Oscar Wilde.
Justice League number 4 from DC Comics. That is the next title we're reviewing, Beep Boop Bork. What do you guys think? I'm curious. I was about to talk about what I think, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this title so far.
Interesting. Justice League.
Grog.
Grodd.
Yeah, so Grog to me is one of my favorite like Legion of Doom guys. So when it starts with Grog, I'm like, I'm in.
Grodd.
Grodd.
Okay.
You just keep saying grog.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it's a drink?
I didn't know it was a drink.
Grog is a drink. It's like an old-timey drink, which you hate. You hate old-timey
that's probably why I don't know. That's probably why.
Anyway, Gorilla Grog.
Yeah, Gorilla Grog.
I think we broke Pete.
Yeah, you definitely did. Anyways,
Pizza.
I was all into this, and then when it was Baby Grodd, I was like, this blows. So I was like invested and very much on board, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Asking you guys what you thought about this comic. Because
you didn't like our 1 minute of total nonsense?
Yeah. Oh, that's what happens when you let steer the ship, man. It goes to crazy
Let's
town.
let the baby decide what we eat for dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Play-Doh and poo-poo? Okay. We shouldn't have let the babies in charge.
I will say, this title is crazy. We talked
man.
about this a little bit with previous issues, but it feels like Scott Snyder is channeling Grant Morrison for this title, trying to do the biggest, most insane, over-the-top Justice League ideas he possibly can, which I appreciate, but am on an emotional level having a little bit of a hard time getting into. Like, when I think about the idea of Lex Luthor and the Joker in people's bloodstream taking over Superman and Martian Manhunter's brains in order to break down the source wall and destroy the universe, that sounds great. But the process of reading it, it's using a lot of my brain power, to be honest, and it's a little hard to do.
Well, it's a lot like it's stylistically like Dark Knight's Metal, where like there's so much going on and it's very densely written. Like that is just one little piece of this issue. Then you've got Sinestro working on the ultraviolet light spectrum, who is bringing this new Umbrax thing into our universe. He takes John's ring away and turns him into ultraviolet, and that's just another page. And then the Flash is running against the Still Force, which is the opposite of the Speed Force.
Jesus
that is
Christ.
holding. Like it's just there's so many ideas at once, and I do agree it gets to be a little much. But I do think in classic Scott Snyder, it's all very fun and smart, and it feels big, and it feels like the superheroes are in trouble.
It's definitely not a comic you can just breeze through, and when
I had
we
to read
talked,
it twice.
Yeah, when we talked about Justice League, we talked about it as it should be the premier title of the DC universe. Here, he's injecting a billion ideas all at the same time into every character. There are epic changes for everybody going down. The Legion of Doom is more deadly than they've ever been before. I'm actually really looking forward to the next issue. He said that every 5 issues is going to be a Legion of Doom series, essentially.
Whoa.
So Justice League number 5 is Legion of Doom number 1, which also is crazy just for numbering reasons.
Confusing.
But
and it's
I
from
love
their
that.
perspective, though.
Yeah.
So that's, I agree.
I think
That's super
great.
fun. That's like in Starman when they used to do shade issues would populate, and I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, so it's a lot. Again, I want to feel a little bit more of the emotion there rather than just pure ideas, but on the pure idea level, I like it.
Yeah. It's like a ship made of music.
There we go. Let's
That makes sense.
finish up this stack with one more title from Marvel Comics, Infinity Countdown number 5.
Okay, I think we've counted down.
Well,
I think
here's the
this is
thing.
it, right?
We've counted down. We've done Infinity Countdown, and it's counted down to Infinity Countdown Prime, which is the issue that comes before Infinity Wars, which is leading up to something even bigger, baby. I don't know.
Oh, man, that's great. I need to get another job.
Yeah. That all said, for the most part, for 75% of this issue, I really liked it a lot, and I've really enjoyed this crossover a lot. And there's great Guardians of the Galaxy stuff going on. I think we finally found out what the series is about, which is basically setting the stage of what's going on with the Infinity Stones, who has them, how they work now, because they all work differently, and cleaning up little bits of continuity. Like, it certainly seems like this issue, big spoiler, but R.I.P. Hank Pym.
Yeah, very sad, sort of inconsequential death for Hank Pym, which makes me think, when you die in Soul World, I feel like you are fine.
Yeah, probably.
But also,
you're probably right.
It's just
like
you lose your soul.
Gamora was just like not even trying to help him out.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like the stakes in Soul World are like, yeah, you're fine. You get eaten by like a lie monster.
fine.
Well, I mean, in comics, you're fine.
Yeah,
most
in
of the
real
time.
life too. I've died several times.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
real? What happens after?
You just sort of wait until they think of a new storyline
Is it
for
like
you.
a waiting room in Beetlejuice? It's
exactly-
You get a number. I knew. It was
I know-
like that.
I know-
knew it was
I
like
know
that.
Oh,
Beetlejuice.
there was a guy who came to the show the other week, and he's like, "Oh man, I loved Justin when I was a kid. We got to bring him back."
Maybe as a musical.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this so far?
I like it. I like the Infinity Stones in general. As a Infinity Gauntlet is one of my favorite crossover events ever. Like Warlock and the Infinity Watch was a series I liked. When Doctor Strange gathers the Infinity Watch at the end of this issue, very excited for that. It's fun. It does feel a little less. The stakes feel lower than in other of these crossovers for whatever reason. I like the exchange between Barrett and Barrett is maybe his name. Turk, yeah. And Doctor Strange. I thought that was really
great.
cool.
Yeah, particularly because you think of Turk as this low-level crook. He even says that he was Stiltman at one point, and Doctor Strange is like, really? Stiltman has an Infinity Stone, which is a fun little bit. Here's what held me up a little bit about this issue is the end when he calls the Infinity Watch. I think that was fun. That's good setup for what's to come. But several pages earlier, Doctor Strange very specifically said the Infinity Stones should never come together. We got to keep them apart. Let's forget this ever happened. And then several pages later, he's like, I'm gathering the Infinity Watch. Bring all the Infinity Stones here. Let's do this. Yeah. So it almost felt like the last, say, 3 or 4 pages were really all we needed to lead into Infinity Wars. And the rest of this was mostly wrap up of the Guardians of the Galaxy series with a couple of other things.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is, it's cleaning shop to get to the next. Like, I don't know if you've read like Infinity Countdown Darkhawk. Not a lot of momentous things happening in that.
Well, for Darkhawk.
Yes, Darkhawk is definitely in there, but it does feel like it's not a ton is happening. So
sure.
I'm looking forward to when it starts to ramp up a little bit. But I do think this crossover is just going to be like the beginning of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where the Infinity Stones are just like shuffling around the Marvel Universe, and everyone's trying to grab them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. There's also the tease at the beginning that we've watched for a while where I don't know if it was Eitri, the dwarf, making that weapon or one of the other dwarves, but making a weapon for a mysterious figure who has some sort of infinity mask who seems like the big villain of the upcoming Infinity Wars crossover. Who do you think that is? It has to be somebody we know, right?
I would think. Otherwise, why conceal the face? I mean, I don't know. It's not Thanos. Right. We don't think.
It's not Loki, because Loki's also on the cover.
Yeah. I don't know. What other... Maybe it's one of Thanos' thralls. I feel like they
it could
have
be
those...
old Gamora. I mean, there's been a lot of hay made about Gamora and Gamora losing her soul. Or it could be Gamora because she kind of wanders off angrily at the end of the issue.
Yeah, she kind of turns on her team there.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty crazy if she was the big villain here. And is she trying to get revenge on Thanos, maybe?
Maybe. Could be.
Well, I'll explain why there's another kind of version of her, because she went evil, so...
Yeah.
But, I think that these kind of like prequels to a big event are just kind of like some fun moments, but then at the end of it, it's like, okay, this is when things are really going to start, which is a little disappointing. But I liked overall. I thought this was kind of fun. There's definitely enough moments in it to make it worth it. But yeah, it's a little bit of a letdown where it's like, okay, now the fun starts after this.
Ultimately, I think It was writing good, art good. Me like
Oh, great.
Good.
Me, Gronk.
Now that's an Alex I can listen to.
Excellent. If you like this show and would like to support us, patreon.com/comic book club. We have a bunch of new levels and new prizes. We also have a Patreon exclusive podcast you guys can get if you pledge the Patreon, and a bunch of other things you should definitely check out there. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. in New York. That's totally free. Come on by. We'll chat with you about comics in person. Pete, what else do you want to plug?
Friend us on Facebook so you get to know about the amazing guests we have on our live show.
Follow us on Twitter at Comic Book Live.
Check us out at comicbookclublive.com for the podcast and more, and we'll see you at the Comical Bookshop.
Gorilla Grog.